Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ladies, understand something. The top end of a woman's weight is 145 pounds. Okay. My mother's 5'9", and she was 145 pounds until she was 50. That's the top end of your weight, because there should be about a 40-pound difference between you and men.
Basically, if the guy is rich, what ends up happening is the lawyer contacts the person and be like, hey, you know, your name gonna be all in the paper, so you might as well just settle out of court.
I can recognize talent. Even if I don't agree with the politics, a lot of the politics that was underlying in the show and some of the sentiments he was trying to share, I recognize artistry when an artist is present.
Yes, this is the definition of absolutely cooked. We'll never go back and take a look at her bad decisions and take accountability for any of that.
Because there is powerful people in the industry, somehow there is a different law that applies to them. And I agree with that assessment.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close my ancestors speak, they tell me they're tired of them praying on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I've surpassed peak, until they think we are equal. Please, all I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their palms would bleed, begging that generations remember our story.
What's up? What's up? What's up, YouTube? What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? How you feeling, United States? Y'all good? Do you still feel festive? Do you still feel like you can express yourself freely? Do you still feel like your word and the things that you are concerned about matter? We'll see about that. I'm going to give a shout out to my poets, my writers, producers, musicians. Love to you. You are still a part of a rare group of people that are allowed to express themselves freely to some extent. You haven't completely been modernized. Some of you have, a lot of you have, in fact. Which is sad, because you're too good to be held back by politics. I hate to see that for people. Freedom of expression should be available to everyone. There shouldn't be exempt. There shouldn't be a price tag on it. Nobody should be stopped from being truly themselves. It looks like, unfortunately, we're in a time frame where that shit don't matter no more. You see the title. I got the clip. For those of you who might be curious why we are here, I got you covered. We got a lot to talk about here. And this goes just beyond Charlie Kirk. Way beyond it. But because everybody is centering their discussions around that, this is why we're here. We're here to express ourselves. We're here to be free. We're here to be adults. We're here to let the people know how we feel about the injustices, about the crime, about the racism, about the politicking, Donald Trump, his power tripping, the people who decided to vote for him and made nothing but arguments. Yes, we have a lot to unpack here. I got my partner in the building, man, the real MVP of this shit, Miss Sydney. I'm about to bring you up here in a second, let you introduce yourself and whatnot. I got the video. Before I play it, Let me go ahead and bring my co-host up here. Y'all show her some love. If y'all have any comments, any questions along the way, feel free to leave them. They will be highlighted during the stream. Sydney, morning.
Hello. I looked at my phone just in time because I forgot that it was today. And then I was like, wait a minute. I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, wait, it's 11 right now. So I'm glad I checked my phone when I did. Everything happens for a reason. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this topic because my mom loves Jimmy Kimmel. He's one of her favorite people. And I saw the news last night, like 40 minutes after they announced it. And so I called her. I'm like, Mom, did you hear? And she's like, what? I'm like, Jimmy Kimmel just got canceled. This is the first time I've actually heard her swear. She's like, what the fuck? My mom is the most like white bread, no frill type person. Like, she won't wear fancy clothes. Like, my mom has never worn a dress in her life. So yeah, to hear her swear, I'm like, oh my God, you were really mad about this. So yeah, perfect topic.
Yeah, I turned on my my Instagram. I scrolled and I seen it. I'm like, hold up, what? Y'all, all right, man. Y'all really getting out of control with this. And then, like, I had to see for myself, all right, what was this actually about? Because I don't think I've ever seen a television program just get demolished off of the face of the earth that quick. I've seen cancellations. I've seen situations where maybe the ratings just wasn't giving them enough reason to keep the show going. I've never seen somebody say, oh, I don't like what you said about me. Get them off the air immediately. And then I watched the video. And even after I watched the video, I'm like, all right, yeah, we gotta have a conversation for a number of reasons. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna play it for the people who didn't see it, and initial thoughts going into it, and we'll just take it from there. So this is the video. This is what I believe is why everybody is like, what? It's like a minute 13.
New lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
And yeah.
What a loss. I really hope he goes off and starts his own thing because that would be a shame if he's probably my second favorite comedian out there. Like, John Oliver will always be my favorite, but yeah, I think the one thing that got me when I first saw this was there have been comedians over the course of history, our history, and they have said way more egregious things and we just laugh with them because we're like, oh, they're comedians. It's just a joke. Like, there are some lines that we don't cross with comedians. But politically, for the most part, like, I've heard stuff talked about every president that has been alive while I've been watching those TV shows. And even in bad light, like Obama, I think, featured a comedy bit of himself, and he laughed along with it. Like, he was able to laugh at himself. But clearly, this ego-driven individual running our country can't handle that. So he really is a 4-year-old that lost a goldfish.
I had a conversation with Mia on here a couple weeks ago about the extent of comedy, how much it's changed. What's on the table, what's off the table, what can we talk about? What's going too far? And it's like, you have been around this planet a significant number of times. I imagine you've been to a few comedy shows in your life, and I'm speaking in general to most adults. So you already understand the assignment. Like, if I'm going to take and spend $200-300 for travel, for tickets, food, I'm going to get my money's worth. Whether it's a talk show or it's just a sketch, I'm going to get my money's worth. I'm not going there to be miserable. I'm not going here to disrupt the flow and the ambience of the program. I want to enjoy myself. There's too much going on in the world. Comedy is one space where you should be able to say whatever the hell you want. For an hour, 2 hours, you should not be worried about someone trying to jump you, or stab you, or beat you up, because this is the space where everybody is taking life and leaving it at the door. Once you go in here, I don't give a fuck what's going on at work. I don't care about bills. I don't care about none of that. But you telling me, you knowing this, you still found it so egregious in your ear. It troubled your soul that much that you said, nope, we can't do this. I refuse to be the butt. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Donald Trump already was, he went through his own roast. I watched it. He had comedians and stuff roast him professionally. It was on Comedy Central, if I remember. So you've already been through this before. So what's different between then and this?
Dementia.
Alzheimer's. Ooh. Like, come on, bro. You've had people cook you for years. You've been on TV sitcoms. You did WWE. You've been in spaces where you had to be the butt of a joke. Is this about your ego, your pride? Or like, is this about you particularly, or is this about Charlie Kirk? Or is this about the fact that you got called out
to grab them for you?
For your lack of concern or consideration for your family's loss? I'm not understanding. Help me understand what was so horrible about what he said. There would be no, if everybody was sensitive about comedy, there wouldn't be no comedy.
Mm-hmm.
They just shut everything down. We wouldn't have nothing to laugh at anymore. Imagine being pissed off at somebody doing a sketch about black people and they're white. Their job is to talk about shit that's uncomfortable. Now, as far as
And to point out the hypocrisy in society as well.
major. I can't just sit up here and say I don't like the fact that George Carlin said this about this person and I want him canceled immediately. I can't just up and go to YouTube or go to any of these large conglomerates and say I want them off of air. I do not want them making money anymore. I don't want them telling no more jokes about this or that. I can't do that. But you can do it. Was he wrong? Was he inaccurate? Maybe to be fair, maybe he didn't want to talk about that. Maybe he felt like it would be more respectable to not really get into the whole death of Charlie Kirk. He was trying to just be honorable in some sense. I don't know. I don't understand. This brother has been around for years. Jimmy, like Fallon, Kimmel, you name all them late night shows. I grew up on most of them, if not all of them. They've been around for years and years and years. Like somebody put in all of that time and all of that work. All for you to say, I'm like the fact that you said that I didn't care about Jim that man. But what are we doing here? This is the person that y'all put in power. Anytime he is something he don't like, anytime you go against anything he says, anytime you make a joke, he's going to push back and he's going to be petty. That's what it's coming off as. So what are we doing?
It kind of makes me make the comparison in my head. Imagine if they did this to like an artist, to a painter, to somebody that creates visual art. And they were like, you know what? We're not going to allow you to create art about these particular subjects. You're not allowed to portray these people or this policy or this whatever ideology. And so you're not allowed to do it. Painters and sculptors and whatever, like you're not allowed to make anything about these particular things. That's not going to happen. People would be like, F you, I'm going to make my art just like that, just because you did that out of protest. So it's the same thing, in my opinion, with comedy, where it's a form of art. It's not a official document. It's not like it's the spokesperson of a company who is supposed to represent all people saying this. It's somebody whose job is to put it, I guess bluntly, make fun of people. Like that's literally his job. It's to point out all of the things that people might not notice. And as I said, point out hypocrisy, point out things that people might not have even known about, showing videos of what people say to kind of expose the types of personalities they are. But as you said, this has been going on forever. Like George Carlin has said some crazy things, and he's still one of the best comedians out there because of that. Like he was such a cutting edge comedian because he was willing to take all those risks. And I mean, I know there was backlash against him, but I don't ever remember him getting like canceled. I wasn't really a cognizant at the time. I was very little, but from at least from my adulthood experience, I don't think I remember him ever being canceled in the same way that Jimmy Kimmel is being canceled. And to me, this is what I told my husband last night. I'm like, this was the first time that I don't know what I guess it's probably the combo of Kirk and Kimmel, but like once I heard that Kimmel thing, I had that like dystopian feeling where I'm like, I actually don't like where this is going now. Like this is the point where I'm actually kind of scared for democracy, because before I could understand to a degree, like we had the journalists being canceled and fired for what they said. And I'm like, okay, I don't agree. I think it's ridiculous, but I can see how company policy would make an excuse to fire them. But now that you've crossed the line to comedians who this is all they do, that I'm like, that's silencing. This is 100% trying to keep us from talking about what's actually happening. And to fire somebody that is so well known, I think he's like the first or second top comedy show on the TV right now. That to me is very alarming. And that really signifies the mindset of both the people running companies and those in political offices. I also think the things he said to me were so bland and boring. Like he could have made so many jokes that were way worse than that. And that seemed extremely mild to me. So the fact that he got offended over that was crazy to me, because I could probably pick out the points he made that triggered Trump, but I still think like to be fired over something so innocent really is an indication of just how deep we are into dangerous territory with our democracy.
I've seen black comedians, I've seen Indian comedians make some insane, inappropriate jokes. Just on like YouTube shorts. There was one woman who made a joke about abortion. Like that shit was wild. And she came out of that unscathed. That video is still up. So, like you said, there's nothing about this that was so extreme, even if you took it personal to the point to where you could have just talked to that man after, picked up the phone. I'm pretty sure you got contact with him. You could have said, "Hey, man, that wasn't really this, that, or third. Yeah, can we kind of stay away from the whole Kirk story? Like it's too soon. Kind of let it die down or something." I would understand that. He just went nuke. I was like, "Oh, World War. Push the button." Is creativity dying? Are they really just slowly killing off anything that remotely has anything to do with being creative?
I was gonna say something, but I just forgot.
No, I'm really curious about it, because the whole point of social media was expression about being creative, about being able to showcase your own talents and gifts uniquely in your own way. Some people dance, some people sing, some people tell jokes, some people do skits. You get a mixture of everything. Some of it is dark humor, some of it is for a specific group of people. The fact of the matter is, everybody has something to be entertained by. But when you get to this, like, you got poetry, you got music, etc., etc. When you get to the point where y'all pushing the button on everyone, you're hitting report, you're hitting flag. I can't rap about what I want to rap about. I can speak on certain subject matters, but let everybody else do it. It's fine. What are we doing here? Like, that was not worth taking that man off of TV. Nothing about that was worth that. And on top of that, I still haven't heard anything about Trey Reed or Corey. I haven't heard nothing spoken about none of these other people that's been on the unfortunate side of life, and they're no longer here, and their parents and their loved ones have to bury them. And where's the same energy for these people? I don't even.
I was looking into like what happened on the back end. So apparently he was officially fired because Trump started calling in to the people that hired him and basically kept like threatening, I guess that's the word that they use. And after that, they basically, it was the company that owned them, but then there's ABC and CBS over the company that owns them. That was when they decided to follow through. And let's see, the company that owned him, I guess, is trying to get his rival, I guess. But yeah, they canceled him right away. And one of the things that I really stood out to me in here was another comedian listed a comment saying the Second or First Amendment protects this. Like, it protects your right to speech. And that includes comedy, even if it, like, literally the only thing that's freedom of speech does not apply to is incitation of violence. When you're saying that you want people to be offed or something like that. As long as you aren't trying to hurt people, like actually hurt people or call for other people to hurt people, the comedy shouldn't matter. They're words. But another thing I caught on here was apparently Trump has already had it out for him. He said after they fired Stephen Colbert earlier in the year, multiple times, he on both Twitter and in person, he has said that Kimmel was next. So I bet that he was just waiting, like, all right, here's a quote. I got it. I'm going to start calling and harassing just to get what I want. And this shows that our government will stoop to the level of bullying companies just to make sure that they don't say anything negative about them. And this is very reminiscent of what happened in Germany. He started to oppose any comedians, actors, artists from saying anything and would disappear them if they said anything. And it seems like we've gotten to that point.
That shit is crazy. I didn't know there was any type of connection with Colbert in this. When people say that man is vengeful and petty, like the more and more I see and I hear, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of getting your point. I understand what you mean by that. Like he's going after everybody. I thought people were joking when he said that shit, but now I really believe it. Like he's going after everybody who pretty much rubbed him the wrong way. He's abusing the government. He's abusing the power that he has, picking and choosing when he wants to care and when he doesn't, when he wants to be bothered, when he doesn't want to be bothered. I don't like this.
I also hear that an FCC commissioner, who's the federal control, I forgot what that stands for, but they basically control like what shows up on TV and stuff, and ABC executives both said that they thought the joke was well within the bounds. And yeah, to the fact that they said that and still he was let go is, yeah, another indication that our government is being weaponized against us and is taking away all of our connections to understanding what's happening. I mean, the other thing to complement what's happening is they're also actively removing documents off of our government website. They've removed bios of certain important people, such as Obama. They have removed some important documents, historical write-ups, stuff like that, on even our government websites. So this, to me, is very, very active censorship.
Yo, this shit is cold-blooded. And this ain't new. It's been building up over the years. Even though I'm not really familiar with that, I didn't realize that they were going to the extent to remove certain details and information on specific people. But a rocket scientist doesn't need to do the math to know that that was already happening, right? Distraction to keep us away from the Epstein files. I absolutely believe it. I did a stream or I did a upload where there are a few victims. There were like 3 of them that said, and I quote, "If they won't release them, we will put together our own list." How much of this has to do with Charlie Kirk? And how much of this has to do with something beyond just this guy that everybody thinks is a monster and he's a racist and he was prolific in the community? How much of this is about him versus actually being about just the fact that I don't want y'all saying nothing. Y'all talking too much. Y'all saying way too much shit out here.
Trump does not give 2 Fs about Charlie Kirk. He skipped this man's memorial service, vigil service, to go golfing. I mean, come on. That shows you how little he cares about him. Like, that would be the equivalent of my husband skipping a funeral to go disc golfing. Like, it's especially for somebody who says, like, oh, he was a friend, he was a great man, blah, 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 blah. Then why didn't you show him the respect you think he deserves? I don't think he really cares about anyone. Recently, he was asked why he lowered the flags for Kirk, but did not lower the flags for the Hortmans who were murdered in their homes by the extremists that had a list of over 70 politicians, abortion clinics, and abortion providers. Advocates. And yeah, we don't talk about that. No, I have not seen much on the news about that, but we have stuff all over the news about Kirk's killer. I'm like, why aren't we talking about the person that had a manifesto of politicians across multiple states, as well as abortion educators and providers, or I guess healthcare providers? Because what people don't think about is abortion clinics offer more than just that. They offer birth control help. They offer assistance with STDs and testing and getting help with that. They can help with insurance issues and like finding medical care. So these clinics are very, very important for the community. They also provide like free pregnancy tests and stuff like that. And I have seen nothing about it on the news. I have had to actively research myself to find anything about it. And as we've said, like Kirk is all over the news, even though he does not care about them. Again, when they asked about why he didn't lower the flags for Melissa Hortman, he said he didn't even know who she was. How do you not know your own representative? Like that would be if a coworker murdered and was like, oh, I don't know who that is. Really? Because you work with them, you see them. Like what? I hate everything that's happening right now. And I looked it up just to make sure for myself. The Holocaust website, the Holocaust Museum website. When the Nazis came to power in 1933, the German Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech and freedom of press. Through decrees and laws, the Nazis abolished these civil rights and destroyed German democracy. Starting in 1934, it was illegal to criticize the government. Even telling a joke was considered treachery. People in Germany could not say or write whatever they wanted. Some examples of the law included closing down or and taking over newspapers, controlling what news appeared in the newspaper, on radio, and in newsreels. They banned and burned books that were characterized as un-German, and they controlled what soldiers were able to write about in letters to their spouses, their families, when they were sent out. Like they would open the letters, check them, and if they thought they were inappropriate, they would burn them or throw them away or whatever. So we're not far off from this. We've already started off with the book bans. We've already started off with, I mean, clearly now we're getting into the banning people from saying things on newspapers, on radios, in our version, the internet. So what's next? That's my fear. What's next? I honestly, when I first started doing this podcast, I did have that in the back of my mind. I'm like, what if we say something wrong and he's just like, no, I don't want you on YouTube anymore. Like, what if he starts going after YouTubers and people who privately do these and don't even profit off of what they say? They just like doing it for fun. Like, are they going to allow that? Are they going to allow like, oh, we're just going to shut down YouTube because they're promoting too many things that are, oh, we don't like it? Because that would just, I don't even know. I don't even know what I would do if they can't, like, if they just, we're going to remove YouTube. Like, it's like half my life besides my family. No, why do I keep doing this? Okay. I keep clicking out of the thing.
There's a number of people coming after YouTubers. It's not, I mean, like just streamers and content creators in general. Megan Thee Stallion is one, and she's going after Aiden Ross because of, I guess she considers him to be assassinating her character. Ladies and gentlemen, what does the world look like if we don't have freedom of speech anymore? So you're going to go and sue every single person that has an opinion about something that's made publicly? Is that what we're doing? Can I sue everybody who's talked behind my back at work? Is that considered defamation of character? Do I have the right to take that to the judge? If you are a celebrity or someone in a position of power and you are putting all of your personal business on social media, do you then expect people to be quiet about it? Or we're just supposed to watch it and then just not say nothing? Most people make a living off of having discussions about your character, your behavior patterns. It has nothing to do with, like, for me personally, I don't really have nothing personal against nobody, but you are becoming a case study for what not to do, who not to hang around with, why our system is flawed, why we need to work on certain areas in our life that's not being very conducive to our growth, why you shouldn't be idolizing certain people, why you shouldn't. That's the type of, those are the layers that I like to peel back. I'm not really big on gossiping, you know what I'm saying? But I do see it happening. I see it happening more and more. Everybody's looking for a reason to sue or file a lawsuit or cancel somebody. Get too sensitive.
I only like gossiping when it is about like government people or like really famous people. I don't gossip about like my friends or anything like that. My version of gossip is making fun of celebrities and politicians and all of these people and I mean, honestly, humor is one of the oldest coping mechanisms that humans have. We've been using, I mean, as long as we've been alive, laughter has been a huge, important part of society. Like even ancient, like old cave people and stuff like that, they probably had their own versions of like comedy type stuff because it's literally ingrained into our DNA. Like we have biological functions that like create crying and laughing releases stress. It releases endorphins in your body. It can actually help with the recovery of certain diseases. It can help with mental health illnesses as well. So it's crazy that they're going after that. One of the things that you said, it made me think like, that's exactly what the comment sections are for. It's so people can talk about what they're seeing. Like we very clearly have as a society, an inclination and a desire to laugh and even share about the comedies that we are seeing. Like there are people that don't like what they see, but they're still going to like laugh about it. And they're still going to put comments and stuff like that, discussions online that still bring up important points. And so even if you don't like the comedies, having discussions about them can still benefit society because then you can learn more about like, well, why is this distasteful? Like, why are people unhappy? And you can expose more of like what's actually wrong than what we're seeing, because it's very, very clearly not about what he said. It's about how a certain person feels. And it's dangerous that he's now combining that with what average people are choosing to do in their free time. And he is very obviously taking a track that is familiar from history. And I definitely wonder how far he's willing to go with this, especially because we're not even done with the first year yet. This is all happened in what, like 8 months, 9 months? And they already started all the book stuff in like the first couple months. I can't imagine they intend to stop. I imagine that they're intending to escalate and get it to the point where only people are only speaking nice about him. And we already see him trying to switch the narrative on X, where he's constantly talking about how great he is and how much people love him and how it's all the hateful Dems and blah blah blah. But it's all, so many things he says on there are lies. And it's similar. Like the Germans also used propaganda, tried to convince people that they were so amazing. They had parades and stuff like that were like, see, to showcase how amazing it. Everyone made those comparisons during his birthday parade. And I also like, Trump is not the only problem. Like, Trump is not the figurehead of this movement, or I guess he is the figurehead of this movement, but he's not the driving force of this movement. He is only a mouthpiece for a larger group of people that are more kind of underground in society, but are controlling things kind of from behind the scenes. And I also fear that even if Trump leaves us, that this is still going to continue, because it's not him specifically, it's the ideology behind him and many, many other people, and their feelings for groups of individuals. Ann Coulter summed it up the best for me recently, where they asked her how she felt about Trump. And she said, oh, he's terrible. He's one of the worst presidents we've ever had. He's 100% a criminal, blah, 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 blah. But then they're like, well, why do you still want him? She's like, as long as we get a wall around the country and we expel all the immigrants, I don't care who's president.
I'm not about to continue to be on like this. Well, as a matter of fact, I never was. I'm not a big fan of being censored. I don't like it. And if this is the government's way of trying to control media, then I feel sorry for you, because there's a lot of folks out here as we speak who we're not just about to sit down for that.
They don't know anything about poetry, so they're not going to be able to interpret the book that I have prepared about this administration. I've been writing poetry about what has been happening ever since Kamala's loss was announced. And I have, all of it is written in metaphor, because I'm not about to mention him by name, but I want to make sure that I get this out there and spread, because I mean, I've read a lot of the poems on here, and it's pointing out the loss of our freedoms. And I feel like that might be what we have to do, is become more subtle, but more like widespread with how we share this information. Like making it so it's almost like a cultural understanding that we have to start standing up for our freedoms, because they are taken away. The individuals in Germany, they made it a point to make sure that people only saw certain things, so they'd create a certain vision in their mind. They had programs for children to indoctrinate children, to make sure that they grew up thinking that he was the supreme leader. They had parties that they invited people to and gave them free things and stuff and whatever to entice them to be like, oh, you guys are so cool. They had they made radio stations and stuff like that affordable, so that people could listen to their ideas, and they would broadcast their speeches on the radio and on public loudspeakers. They also started spreading negative imagery about the Jewish community in all forms of media. And there's so many parallels in this. Like, we've already seen the intense villainization of immigrants, of the Black community, of the non-conservative white community, of the atheist community, of the LGBT community, of even the homeless communities. Like, they are going after every single group of people that are vulnerable and that are a leech on society. And I genuinely hope that humans still have the collective memory of what can happen if we allow this to continue. Where I'm also noticing influences on professors. I think it was a Fox News person, or I don't know, she was conservative. She commented on X, I think, or Facebook, that we should move toward by 2026. She wants to make sure that 50% of professors in universities are conservative. And all people are pointing out, like, isn't that affirmative action, but in your favor? Like, you're against affirmative action unless it's to make sure we get conservatives into positions. So they're very obviously being hypocritical while also actively switching the narrative on us. And this right here, everything that's happening right now is exactly why we need to teach our children history. This is exactly why our kids need to understand how democracy was formed, what happened when people tried to challenge it, and what it looks like when you lose it in other countries. Learning about Russia, learning about Germany, learning about what was it? Not Spain. What's the one next to it? There's another country. There's a bunch of other countries that Italy. There are so many examples of the same exact path, where they first start to silence people, then they start to take their rights, first they start with the education, then they start to silence them, then they take their community connection, and then they start like gradually ramping it up. I'm like, yeah, as I said earlier, this is the first incident that actually has me genuinely scared, because I'm like, that is such a blatant moment, and they're just going with it. These companies are going with it. They didn't stand up for him. They didn't try to defend him or anything. They're just like, oh, you don't like it? All right, he's off. There you go. Are you happy? You're going to keep supporting us? That's exactly what it looks like to me.
It's all about money. For the folks that said, hey, it's either you or me. Sorry. I'm not losing my job for you. And it go back to the conversation we had yesterday, which is weird. Doomerism and denialism. Even though this isn't specifically science, it's like there is a certain level of it to it, because the way that they're employing their methods is scary as hell. Like, you're tactically scaring people into doing dirty work while also trying to make it look like you're trying to give us ample supply of freedom, but you're taking it away, but also saying we have it. I'm not stupid. And this shit has been going on even before Charlie Kirk. This shit's been going on for a very, very long time. It's just like slowly been eroding from beneath our feet. And some people don't see it. Some people see it and they don't talk about it enough. And I'm very confident that there's not a lot of kids that are too prone or privy to this at all. Most of our lifestyle, pay bills, come home, consume. And I asked the question in a video that I uploaded yesterday: what are we really watching? What are we really actually intaking as far as information? What is it that we're finding informative and educational and edifying? Because like a lot of this stuff is innuendo. Some of it is flat out just this, I said it and this is what it is, and some of it is just undertones through music, through I read somewhere that they even lie on Google. Like, you can't even trust Google for a lot of information.
If
I
you
think
look at like when it pulls up the AI, whatever, like if you type in a question, it'll have the AI summary. There are scientists, there are people that have gone through and checked the facts that they give, and they give a lot of facts that are not true. And this is something that I've been bothered about for quite a while, since probably college, is there's a extreme decline in the ability of people to understand how to do research properly. We have gone from like people being able to read full books and full newspapers and understand topics deeply to people who can't even finish a book. And I've noticed the majority of people, their version of research is they Google it or they see it on Twitter, YouTube, or whatever, and they're like, see, look, it says it right here. Even if you do all this digging and you find all these websites that say, oh, that was fake, that didn't happen, it was different, it was changed out of context, whatever, they're still like, oh, but no, it said it. People don't understand now that not everything that you see on the internet is going to be true. There's so many people out there that says like, oh, well, the internet has everything. Like the internet knows everything. I'm like, no, the internet was created by people. The internet's limitations are the people that created the internet. And the internet does not know everything because it only knows what we know. And we've been seeing this explosion in conspiracy theories. There's a YouTuber that I love that he debunks people's like beliefs about the earth kind of conspiracies, like the flat earth, like pyramids were built by alien type people. And there's an explosion in the number of those people because AI images are now making people think that things that are happening are not actually happening. Like I've seen doctored images of giants that they found that are very clearly doctored photos. Like the bones aren't even like correct, like how they would look normally. I've even seen AI generated replications of books, like popular books that people read. They AI generate a different version of the book that looks like the same version, but if you compare side by side, the books are different, and some of the words don't even exist in the book. And that's I absolutely despise AI. I really think that this is going to be a degenerate on society, because we're already seeing it in the kids. I follow a lot of teachers as well on social media. On YouTube that talk about what it's like in classrooms today, what teachers are going through with students. And even the kids are heavily reliant on AI. That's all they can do. That's all they think they can do. And there was a 10th grade teacher talking about how she has banned her students from having any technology in the classroom and has them write everything on paper, which they all hate, because as soon as she lets them have laptops, they just copy paste, have AI generate it, or they just like make it up or something like that, just from like pulling it from the internet. And this is dangerous because even adults are doing this. I have seen videos of older people being duped by made up AI generated video clips or news clips or stuff like that. And so not only do we have the side of they're removing the access to this information, but now we also have this parallel problem that people don't even know how to interpret the difference between the two. And I think that's also equally dangerous than just censorship, because if people don't even understand how to interpret the information that they're given and don't realize that they have to scrutinize everything that they see, they're just going to believe whatever they see. And that's going to make propaganda super easy to be effective. And I think that's extremely dangerous. In Germany, many popular writers fled the country because of how dangerous it was just to write about their ideology. And if people aren't even reading books and aren't really reading intellectual people's work, they're not even going to know what they're losing.
they're just gonna like, so many people are addicted to just TikTok and the mindless videos. And then I've seen the like kids that have like 3 YouTube videos going on at the same time, just like scrolling through. So many people now watch such inconsequential content that I think it's also going unnoticed, where people don't even realize what we're losing. They've banned books. In multiple states, they're starting to mandate Bible readings and putting up the commandments on walls and stuff like that. So they're already starting to shift what we're allowed to learn and not allowed to learn in the schools. And so now we're going to have the kids growing up with the same problem, and the adults won't even be able to help them because they have the same problem. Also, I just wanted to acknowledge one of the comments I saw from SM, the "you need to leave." That is one of my absolute favorite videos, and I've had that running through my head the past couple of days. I found that really funny that you brought that up. But that's how I feel about Trump, to be honest. You need to leave. So, yeah. And also, yes, I do enjoy tweets that cross the line a little bit. They're quite fun. I do like those, the edgy comedy more than the soft comedy.
They're doing way too much. Way too much. You want to protect your brand and your content, cool. You want to have debates, cool. There's just some things that should never be touched. And this is how I look at it. They're trying to break us down, and it's working. We're giving pushback, but it's working. We're not giving enough pushback. I wish I could name drop every single man and woman in the country that is more knowledgeable of what's happening than I am. But I can't. But I know they're out there, and I know they exist, and I know they're doing a phenomenal job at trying their best not to be shut down by the machine. We need our painters. We need our poets. We need our musicians. We need our culture. What happens when you strip all of that stuff away? What happens when it's illegal to dance? You can't even go to an open mic anymore. You can go, but heaven forbid you use keywords. Heaven forbid you speak on specific names. We need to stop this. And history is a part of becoming a better person, forging a better future or a possibility for a better one. Without history, what does the future look like? There is none. I didn't take history very serious when I was younger, and I wish I would have. Because then I wouldn't have taken so much so lightly. I wouldn't kind of just scoff at everything that they're doing in Congress. I would be more involved. I would sign petitions. I would be more present at these meetings, and I would probably have a better understanding of it to have discussions with my own family. Like, knowledge is power, and you spread the knowledge and you give people something to hold on to and to consider and think about when they get up out their bed and they go to their 9-to-5s. See, this situation right here, to me, is just like you said. I was already triggered by what was happening before this, but now it's more like, yeah, it's real. As much as people want to troll and joke about it, This is serious. Especially like if you're a comedian. Oh shit. If you're a comedian and you get on stage and you do a Charlie Kirk joke, or you do any type of joke about Trump or something, you probably better be careful with that. You already see they firing people losing their jobs left and right over this. Like, God really treated that man like he was Jesus Christ. But the same person who was overly emotional about a joke is the same one who didn't even show up to pay his respect. This man worried about remodeling inside the White House. That's crazy. But we put him in office. They put him in office. I've never seen somebody abuse power this much in the U.S. I know about Russia. I know about Putin. People scared as hell of him. They've been wanting him out of office. But guess what? It ain't happening. This is sad, man. It's unfortunate. And Kimmel was a funny guy, man. I love those late night shows. When I'm having a crappy day, I watch David Letterman or somebody. This ain't right. I wonder what's going to happen next. What's on the agenda next? Sydney, who's up on the chopping block next? Another comedian? Another dance? SNL? Oh shit! I forgot all about them. Shit. Key and Peele?
Again, YouTube. I worry about that because I mean, Midas Touch is the top political. Like he has the most following, even of any of the networks, and so I do wonder if he's going to think to start going after YouTubers.
You're right. I did see a list of top YouTubers, and he was up there. So I don't really know too much about him, but I'm like, I seen the numbers. I'm like, damn. All right, so he must be one of them people. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think you're right. I think, and that's probably another reason why I don't see a lot of people talking about this. Like most of the podcasters and reaction video guys that I watch, none of them have brought this up. None of them, not one word. And I see why. I get it. Which is probably one of the reasons why I am glad that I have no affiliations with folks like that. I can just be free to do what the hell I want, say what the hell I want, because whether or not I got all of the facts or the data in front of me, I'm still going to be honest about how I feel about what's going on in the world. I might not always be right. Sometimes I might have to be corrected for something. I don't mind that. But I'm over the political shit. Everybody's political. If you had to give a percentage of how like on a scale of 1 to 100 on how political social media is, what would your guess be?
For who'd get canceled, or?
I mean, as far as more of the content on social media is free of being canceled, and they don't care about being uncensored, and then versus it's like a 20, 80, 60, 40. Like this side is they don't give a shit about being political. This side is like, yeah, we're gonna be grifters and panders, and we're just not gonna say shit. But they're gonna make it seem like they're neutral. So I'm trying to figure out something. We consume so much of this every single day. It's like, all right, who do you really want to listen to? Who's really telling you the truth? Who's being completely honest? Who's giving you the facts? Who's sprinkling in facts with lies?
I think one thing I did in your question, it made me wonder. I wonder if he's going to try and come up with his own news. I mean, I guess that's kind of what Fox is, but I wonder if he's just going to have like the Trump news or something like that, where he plans to indoctrinate more people. But I think logically, they'll probably they'll still continue to go after the TV comedians because they're easier to intimidate their CEOs and the people in charge. Whereas YouTube would be a lot more difficult because it's like YouTube, but then nobody's like directly associated with YouTube. It's not like they're directly employed. The most that could happen is their channels get shut down or something like that. But I wonder, like, people don't watch TV as much in comparison. I wonder if if it starts to become YouTube and social media that's starting to get quieted, if that will start to trigger people. Because I know that one of the biggest triggers for society is when you take away something that they really, really like, especially something that people are pretty addicted to. I mean, we all saw what happened when they banned alcohol and prohibition. I imagine that if they did start going after YouTube, that would not end well. There would be a lot of angry people, especially if they did go after some of those big podcasters, because a lot of people deeply respect them because they have earned it. They show immense respect for all communities. They speak out for everyone. They bring out news sources or news imagery and videos and stuff that people don't talk about. They bring attention to issues that are pushed under the rug. So this is something that we absolutely have to protect. Like, I really, 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 really hope that YouTube is willing to stand up against him if it does come down to that, if they get bullied by him. I'd have to do some research into the CEOs to see kind of what their affiliations are, but if I remember correctly, I think they're more Democratic than they are Republican. But I genuinely think he's going to continue going after comedians. He's just waiting for them to say the wrong joke, and then he can step in and be like, oh, see, look, take him off there, we're done.
Yeah. I was one of them people who's like, man, let me slip on a piece of a glass or a little bit of water or something, and I'm definitely about to file me a lawsuit. I need my money. I need my coins. I've been working too much. I've been working all my life. It's time for me to get compensated for all of this pain and suffering. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably 30, 70, 60, 40. I do believe a lot of these platforms are either avoiding addressing these topics because they know what's going to happen, and or there are people who address them. They just haven't been accounted for yet by his administration. Like he's preparing to start going through a list to see, oh, okay, who's this? They got X amount of followers. All right, let's see what they got going on over here. Oh, they don't really talk about me. Cool. Go to the next one. Oh, all right, so you one of them. All right, gotcha. This is a slippery slope. It's very dangerous. I ain't feeling it. I wish I knew how to create like my own app and my own like website where you like have my own version of a YouTube or something where you wouldn't have to worry about a lot of the bullshit that come with this, because you get flagged for everything. I'm on Instagram. I got a buddy on there that they share stuff with me, but they sharing horrific images and video clippings that I thought went against community guidelines. It's like the shit that they share with me is so graphic. How the hell are you able to share this on social media, but I can't even talk about the simplest stuff? You can't even make joke. Like me personally, I haven't been able to say or do certain stuff on Instagram in years. I'm still waiting for them to lift bans off of me. So I'm disappointed in everybody that Jimmy Kimmel worked for. I get it. You want to keep your job. You want to keep your status and your position. But I'm disappointed, man. Because you know this was wrong. You know it was wrong. And y'all still threw that man under the bus. I think a lot of people are going to do it. When it comes down to your livelihood and doing what's right, I think a lot of people are going to turn their back on people. They can agree with you all day. Don't matter. You're going up against the powers that be. The ones that can make your life live in hell, allegedly. Y'all treat these folks like deities. You think they can just completely ruin you. So you're going to conform. That's just what it is. You're going to conform. You're going to let them railroad you. Also that you can keep the comforts of your pleasures at your beck and call. The 9 to 5 is not that special to me. I know I need to work. I know I need to make money and stuff. The 9 to 5, if I gotta sacrifice my morals, my principles, and I gotta betray people to keep a paycheck, nope. Sorry. I'm not about to compromise for you. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If you're wrong, you need to be held under the microscope. Period. Donald Trump is sensitive. He's a grown-ass adult acting like a child. You're making this about something that it's really not about. How many times have we spoken about Mr. Kirk? Let's go ahead and talk about Trey Reed. Let's talk about Corey, the other gentleman that was homeless and he was found homeless. Let's talk about all the other victims that's fallen. The guy who got beheaded in front of his wife and kids. I haven't heard anybody talk about that shit.
I definitely had not heard about that. Jesus.
In Texas, the man, I did a stream on it. The guy was having it wasn't even a debate. The man was telling him the washing machine is broken. He don't speak his language, so he used a translator and told him, look, don't use the machine. So what happens is the guy don't know where the hell he got it from. He pulls out a machete. He starts attacking the manager, starts stabbing him. The manager is running away from him. The guy is coming after him, stabbing him, swinging it. The son is trying to stop his attacker. The attacker stabs, beheads the guy in front of his kids, holds the head up and shows it to his kids and his wife, and then he kicks it and then puts it in a dumpster. Real story. Yeah.
That is insane. That also makes me think of my best friend and I have been talking about this story quite a lot. I forgot what state it was in, but there was a parents brought in their daughter who was pregnant, and this daughter was 11. Actually, they brought her in after she had the baby. They made her have the baby at home, but they kept swearing up and down, oh, it was some boy from school. Turns out it was the father. They hid the whole pregnancy, made her have the baby at home just so they could hide the fact that the father had been doing things to his child. And I don't see anything about that on the news either. They do not cover what needs to be covered. There is another case that I just heard about where they shut down a peaceful protest that had been going on for years outside the White House. They had kind of a tent city set up. It was an anti-war tent protest. And they had one main guy that was kind of leading the whole thing, and he had been there for so long. He was kind of like a staple of the community. People knew who he was. They talked to him and stuff like that. Recently, I don't know who it was, but a staff member, they videoed this, went up to Trump and was like, hey, have you seen this community sitting outside the White House? And Trump's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And so they explained that there was a anti-American, anti-Trump protest happening outside the White House, and it was an eyesore to the community and it needed to be removed. And so Trump was like, okay, yeah, remove it. Freedom of speech, freedom to protest. Where's all that? Apparently we're not allowed to protest either, just because it's uncomfortable. It's an eyesore. And then, of course, we all know, especially my mother-in-law and I have talked about it, part of the reason why a large proportion of the Black community are not showing up in these protest marches is because, one, we've been doing this for years and nobody has given a shit. And then two, they don't want to be like, as soon as those communities show up, they're gonna be like, oh, they're violent. See? Now we need to bring in the water hoses and the tasers and the spray, the pepper spray and stuff like that, because as soon as other communities enter the marches, they're like, oh, see, look, they're being violent. Take it out. And these are just many of the ways that they're trying to degrade us as a society, take away our rights to express how we feel and quiet us about it. And of course, they're also using the media to either block us from hearing about it or to manipulate the information so we don't hear the right stuff. And it's crazy how many egregious things are not being covered today, and they're focusing. I wrote a post about it recently where I'm like, why are we giving all this attention to Kirk, one person, when 4 people were attacked and a potential of over 65 other people were also on the list to be attacked, and they say nothing. They're more focused on trying to be like, how is he leftist? Let's find the most leftist thing about them and promote that. That's all they care about, is trying to make sure they can link every criminal now to Democratic ideology. And to me, like, the last 2 months or so has been making it more and more obvious that this is not the normal progression of a presidency. They do not plan to preserve our democracy. They plan to undermine it. And we absolutely cannot let this happen. This type of stuff is what need to trigger walkouts. People need to quit these types of companies if they work for them. People need to stop funding these companies if they subscribe to them. People should not turn them on and listen to them. We have to stop promoting this in our own lives so we can hopefully start pushing people to start pushing back, because we're very rapidly losing our rights to think and express and understand the things around us.
I'm waiting to see what's going to happen today. Like each day that I turn on the app, I'm waiting to see who's going to say something stupid, or who's going to be ratchet, or who's going to lie, or who's going to fire someone, or who's going to be on the news for this. I'm just at this point just waiting to see what name is going to be attached to the story. We're at that point. Everything is getting highlighted, exposed for what it truly is. The nature of men and women have been unraveling before our eyes more now than ever. We should have already known that this was eventually going to be a thing. Greed, power, control, lust, gluttony. All of it at the forefront of all that we see on social media. And is being promoted and highlighted. Scare tactics to push their own motives and agendas while hiding their hands. It's like you telling me y'all didn't know that we had murderers out here in the world? You telling me you just now realize that politicians are liars? Are you just now telling me that people are manipulative? You're like, nobody should be living under a rock at this point. We know what's going on. Do we care enough to do anything about it? Straight up. The older I get, the less interested I get in certain content. The older I get, the less desirable I see certain individuals because of their characteristics and how they conduct themselves. Doesn't really make a difference if we mesh or not, because everybody ain't for everybody. But when you're walking and embracing your purpose and then your calling, along the way, you're going to have to make choices. Is this for us? Is it not for us? Are we just temporarily meeting, or is this something that's going to be longer lasting? The whole Republican Democratic, I keep saying it. That's not really my thing. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a bunch of people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, or they are pandering and they're just playing both sides of the field. I think most human beings do it. All survival mode, especially if you're anyone who got money or you're in a position that brings you more benefits than the next person. You're definitely operating from scarcity. It was obvious that the left was going to continue with this. No shocker. Nothing is a surprise to me. When was the last time you ever seen somebody in a position like Trump, get it in front of a camera and address something directly and head on. They always have a speech. I couldn't even do it. I could never get in front of a camera and give a speech. Meg Thee Stallion, I spoke on Meg Thee Stallion a few times, and I said what I said. People were pissed because I said it. How the hell is she about to get a whole TV show and she lied on this man and got him put behind bars for some shit that he ain't do? And they still treating her like she's innocent. She brainwashed people. There's people that still defend her right now, even though the evidence suggests it and knows that's not the truth. I don't hate Trump, but I'm not a fan of his. I didn't vote for him. I know a lot of people who had issues with Kamala being president, but I would have definitely preferred Kamala. And the fact that this man even survived being a president after everything that he was tried for and found guilty of, that should further tell you how humans operate and how they move, man. Y'all be voting for people just to vote for them because you like their personality, because they're great for TV. They're good entertainers. They can moonwalk. But we don't never seem to get it right when it's time to put the actual right people in positions to take care of the country. Do you have any final thoughts on this whole Jimmy Kimmel situation?
You already know I got a poem.
Shout out to Liberty SM. Let me read this real quick. But he did what a leader needed to do after Kirk was assassinated by a leftist. I don't believe in that leftist writer stuff. I mean, like, look, to each his own. If that's what you buy into, that's cool. I'm not taking that away from you. I don't believe in that. I think humans in general are just evil. Some of them more than others. And they hide behind these belief systems as an excuse to commit murder. You call yourself an abolitionist, but you're doing this. You call yourself enacting revenge or protecting your community, but you're a gangster. These titles and these labels that people be having. I just look them joints like y'all just acting and hiding behind that shit just so that you can do what you want to do, and then blame it on this. That's just like my personal thing, though. But
I did want to push back on one thing. It is accepted that he was conservative. Even Fox News is reporting that he's a conservative. So I will say that he wasn't lying. That man is conservative. His family's MAGA. And as I said, even Fox News, who we all know how they report things, they've even said that he's a conservative.
I don't give a shit about none of that conservative shit.
But to be fair, this was a personal vendetta. This was not politically motivated. He personally did not like Charlie Kirk because of something he said. And it was more related to his personal feelings and motivations than his political ideology. So I do think that it's a distraction that they're focusing so much on. Is he left or is he right? I don't think it matters. The fact that he killed somebody, it shouldn't matter. I don't think we should care about that. I think we should care about the fact that it happened.
It's like, well, SM said cute shirt today and yesterday. That's like me saying I'm Batman and I go out here and kill a bunch of politicians. Is that okay? So because I put on a mask and a cape, that excuses the fact that the human underneath the costume still did what they did? No. Like, that shit is crazy to me. No different than a police officer harassing people for no reason, but they do it because they got that badge. It ain't got shit to do with the badge. The badge is just a cover up for how they really are. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, I'm not knocking nobody. The assassin made it clear he was liberal. His parents. Okay. All right. I guess from now on, I'll just be Batman then. Shit. I'll be a Pokemon. I will be Goku. I got magical powers. And I will instant transmission to every crime scene, and I will enact all revenge on all the evildoers. Problem solved. We might have to spin back on that one. I think that would be an interesting one. I might save that for like Monday or something. Shout outs to Liberty though. I love your feedback. I do. I appreciate your feedback very much. Don't get it twisted. I'm not even telling you that you're wrong or right or nothing. I respect it. But that does raise a question that I want to come back to. Shout out to everybody who pulled up in the building. I'm gonna let Sydney close us out. I will be back later on this evening at 8. But let me turn this over to you. Let you do your thing. And I'll see a lot of you later. If I don't, you know how to reach out to me. Matter of fact, let me bring this up on the screen just in case you need to know how to connect with me. This is all of my info. Like, if you want to follow me on anything other than where you're at, Sydney, I will give you the solo.
All right. I thought this poem was perfect because it really encapsulated everything we talked about. It's called Protect Your Capital. How can any artist, writer, or poet express the immensity of terror, knowing from ourselves it is coming? Watching the grayness of uncertainty envelop every facet of our nightscapes and dash every colorful consumer plea for a world that was better. But watching the masses march, all but in the right directions, led by the expensive manipulations set forth by an intelligent lot, taking the world like a henhouse for a fox. How can you shout to this void long enough to elicit one look, when thou no longer trust in the books, when the rich can change the tide of a decade, when one person can change all of a century, using merely hours of their lives, but billions of hours? We keep sitting, staring at their parasitic Rolodex, where 1,000 online friends are found. To dish out online things and trends, how foolishly we waste money, time, mental health, actual wealth, instead of dedicating dying brain cells to thousands of imaginary personas online, feeding all manners of personal health. We trust our existence to strangers in blank rooms, to strangers with blank faces. To them, you're a number from every click they're elected. But you remained marooned, rejected, consumed, on a ledge with no ladder, poisoned by a digital adder, floating in a world where the lives of the bitters are all that will matter. We pay them with dollars and time. We pay with our life-saving rhymes, purging our pockets, cashing each of our finite chips for just a stake in the game of the rich. And now we look at shriveled palms. Did we get our wish? Did we get the things checked off our lists? Are we comfortable? Are we happy? Pay attention, because they are. Gradually, they buy our land, steal our food, and send us spam. You are the product. You are the keep. They even infiltrated sleep. No privacy. Your life's on file. They've had our socials for a while. And as they sit tight and watch us fight, they know full well of their might, using monopoly, lawfully, awfully. We must not stop. We must refuse to be looted. We must refuse to be muted. We must not give in to the bots. Don't let your beliefs be commuted. Refuse to be silenced. Hide your wallets. Protect your opinions. Protect all your thoughts. Standing to fight is something we ought. We must walk together. We must work together. For in unison, we will be audible, sending the message that we are unstoppable. For in unison, anything is possible. Yet, as we find ourselves divided of passive comfort or active revival, we must choose. Do we fight or exist blithely? Choose wisely.
Shout out to Sydney, the poetess. It is a bird. It is a plane. It is Gucci. What's going on? Blessings, blessings, blessings.
Hi. What's your name?
Hey.
No, you don't want to talk? You're just going to look. Okay.
All love, all love. Look, Sid, appreciate you for being here this morning. Shout out to everybody in the building who pulled up. Do me a solid. Tap in, follow on YouTube, follow on all streaming platforms. Later on today, I'll be back in my Hasta La Vista, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We gotta talk about this Chris Brown thing, man. But I hope y'all have a blessed day. Drive safe. Friday's right around the corner. And the face of Halloween. The face of Halloween. Y'all tap in, man. I'm gonna need y'all to pull up because we gotta bring this one back to the home team. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to bring this one home. So y'all be on the lookout. Oh, and the show is going on Saturday. Be on the lookout for that. I will definitely chop it up with y'all. See you later. Do me a solid before y'all go.
What's the goddamn button?
Peace.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I, my ancestors speak, they tell me they're tired of them praying on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I've surpassed peak, until they think we are equal. Please, all I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until they're